Hi and welcome to my channel. In today's video we are going to see what GTX 1080 Ti video card is capable of in 2024, almost 7 years after its release. You might be wondering how such video could be useful. Well, there are many reasons for this. This model is one of the best that Nvidia has released in recent years, and it continues to provide sufficient performance in most games. It was so good because it was reasonably priced given the great performance, and there were no doubts whether it had enough VRAM or whether it would be relevant for a long time. In many cases, the current generations of video cards offer much less satisfactory price-to-performance ratios, so it's important to remember products like GTX 1080 Ti and what great value in the video cards world actually means. Moreover, this video card can still be found at a very good price and in a good condition on the second-hand market, making it much better purchase than models like the GTX 1660 Ti, RTX 3060 and RX 7600, which are still available as new and is also not that far from the capabilities of the RTX 4060. In this video I'll be testing GTX 1080 Ti with some of the most popular games at 1080p, 1440p and in some cases at 4K resolution. Some of these games are more GPU demanding, while others put more strain on the CPU. I'm not going to test the current most GPU demanding games, because my idea is not to push the video card beyond its limits, but rather to show you examples where it can still provide very solid performance. I will go through each of the games with a very brief commentary on the results and the settings I have used. I will start with Fortnite running in DirectX 12 mode and 1440p resolution. Most of the settings are on low. Anti-aliasing is on FXAA and the view distance at epic. Textures and effects are at medium. The specific settings are not so important here. You can see that GTX 1080 Ti performs well enough and the graphics looks very good as well. There are no huge FPS drops, stuttering or similar problems. The average FPS is around 200, which is more than enough for smooth gameplay on all 1440p monitors. It can be even higher at 1080p resolution if you have a good enough CPU. It will probably surprise you that the video card also can handle 4K resolution. Yes, textures are at low, but the graphics still looks very good thanks to the high resolution. The average FPS is enough for a smooth casual game, because even 1% lows are over 60 FPS. But it's more likely that you are playing Fortnite in performance mode, so let's take a quick look at what's going on there. This time I start directly from 4K with high settings. Not only does the GTX 1080 Ti provide excellent performance, but there is even a CPU bottleneck here, despite the powerful 5800X3D used in this case. This means that at lower resolutions the performance will be at least as good as what you can see here, and the FPS depends more on the CPU that is being used. The next game I want to show you is very GPU demanding, but nevertheless GTX 1080 Ti provides the necessary performance. What you see right now is 1080p resolution and high preset. I have no complaints about how the game runs and the visual quality is very good. To achieve a good FPS at 4040p resolution, it is enough to change the preset to medium. Unless you are playing on a very big monitor, you will hardly notice graphics quality difference. To my surprise, GTX 1080 Ti did well even at 4K resolution. The average FPS with medium preset is above 60, and if I need more for some reason, I can change it to low and the graphics will still look good because of this very high resolution. I will continue with a more dynamic game, Apex Legends. I start here with 1440p resolution because the video card delivers great FPS even at maximum settings. If you have a monitor that has higher native refresh rate, you can reduce the settings a bit to make the average FPS around 200. At 4K resolution, the FPS drops significantly and reducing the settings does not help much. This is the first case in today's video where the GTX 1080 Ti can provide enough performance because, at least in my opinion, games like Apex Legends should be played with at least 120 FPS. Of course, if the monitor supports such refresh rate. The situation is similar with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which demands a lot of GPU power, especially at 4K resolution. The average FPS is close to 60, but there are moments when it drops to 30 and it makes the game unplayable, especially during combat. At 1440p resolution, things look different and the video card performs well even at high settings. I would play on medium preset for around 100 average FPS. At 1080p resolution you can choose either to play with high FPS or with maximum graphics quality at around 60 average FPS. Cyberpunk is also a game that requires more GPU power and is not an easy task even for many current generation models. And the fact that GTX cards do not support DLSS technology makes things even more difficult in this case. GTX 1080Ti performs satisfactory at 1080p resolution and medium settings, but for more than that, a more powerful GPU is needed. 1440p is playable, but sometimes the FPS drops below the acceptable minimum. Also, the graphics settings must be reduced significantly and the visual quality is not good. In my opinion, for Cyberpunk, you need at least RTX 3080 or another model with similar performance. In Diablo 4, GTX 1080Ti provides good performance even at 4K. For the test here, I'm using high quality preset, which shows the potential for an even better average FPS if you need that. At 1440p, the FPS is significantly higher at the same preset. And at 1080p resolution, the game runs smoothly at maximum settings. Horizon Zero Dawn, another game with very good visual quality, runs smoothly at 1080p and 1440p resolution without reducing the graphic settings too much. The game becomes very demanding at 4K resolution, and in order to achieve a reasonable FPS, you have to lower the settings to minimum, which greatly affects the gaming experience. New World is the first MMORPG game I'll show you in this video. It has one of the best graphics among the games in the genre, if not the best, and even though there is still a lot to be desired in terms of optimization, GTX 1080Ti performs very well at both 1080p and 1440p resolution. At 4K, the video card is not able to provide enough FPS in the more dynamic scenes. At this high resolution, at least RTX 3080 is needed for a good performance and gaming experience. Warzone is a very complex case. In my opinion, this game still has optimization issues, and they could make it run a lot better without the need to have a high-end video card. In any case, and taking into account the lack of DLSS, GTX 1080Ti and video cards with similar or lower performance are not a good option for Warzone. I want to note here that for higher FPS, Warzone also requires a fast CPU, especially at 1080p resolution. Counter-Strike 2 is a very interesting case. The previous version of the game had very low video card requirements, and the FPS depended mostly on the performance of the CPU. Things changed significantly when the second version came out. Now, high graphics settings and higher resolutions require a lot of GPU power. At low settings, GTX 1080Ti is able to provide very good FPS at 4K, and despite the reduced settings, the game doesn't look bad. At 1440p resolution, the video card can achieve very high FPS at high and medium preset with over 140 and 240 FPS respectively. It is important to have a good CPU in order to utilize this potential. 1080p resolution clearly shows the benefit of using 5800X3D in order to achieve over 300 FPS with medium preset. A pleasant surprise was the excellent performance that GTX 1080Ti provided in one of the most beautiful and well-optimized games, Forza Horizon 5. Even under 4K, high preset and MSAA anti-aliasing, the required minimum FPS is not a problem, and the graphics look fantastic. For better gaming experience, I prefer at least 100 or 120 FPS, and this can be achieved by lowering the preset one level down and turning off anti-aliasing, which doesn't hurt the visual quality that much at this resolution. At 1440p and 1080p, you can even play on ultra preset depending on the target average FPS. In Overwatch 2, GTX 1080Ti delivers the needed performance at up to 4K resolution, with some modifications on the graphic settings. The GPU requirements of this game should not be underestimated at higher settings and resolutions. And yet, the GTX 1080Ti performs very well. You do not need a more powerful video card for this game, no matter what monitor you are using with a resolution up to 4K. This is achievable without the need of significantly reducing the graphics quality. This also applies to the modern version of Witcher 3, and GTX 1080 Ti provides the necessary performance at up to 4K resolution and high graphics quality. The game looks amazing. The last game I want to show you in this video is World of Warcraft. I will start with the classic version, which has significantly lower requirements for the video card, and the higher FPS depends mainly on the CPU. You can play the game with GTX 1080 Ti at 4K without a problem, even with dozens of players and many visual effects on the screen. There is no need to lower the settings too much. During raids and dungeons, the FPS is much higher. The retail version of World of Warcraft is very different in terms of hardware requirements. It has a more modern and demanding graphics. In the open world, the game needs a lot of GPU power, especially in the areas of the latest expansions. At 4K resolution, GTX 1080 Ti performs very well, and it can do it even better because retail World of Warcraft has 2 or 3 graphics settings that put too much strain on the video card without providing any significant visual improvement. If you reduce them or turn them off completely, you will significantly increase the FPS. In this example, I did not make this tweak, and I changed only the preset. I have a separate video that shows which settings significantly affect the performance in World of Warcraft, so you can watch it if you need to optimize your FPS in this game. That's it for me about GTX 1080 Ti. Thanks to everyone who watched the video, especially those of you who stayed with me until the end. The video became longer than I expected, but I wanted to show you more examples of how the model performs. If you found this video interesting and helpful, please give it a like, and if you want to see more similar videos from me, subscribe to the channel. Once again, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.